Good morning, timers. So today we're gonna take a look a little bit on the splits and see how we can use them in the outputs for with the dot notation. So I'm gonna use the dash and redo the setup with splits and dot notation in the outputs. So I'm just going to do one of the races, so we choose dash, so we have some complexity and quite a lot of splits. At the dash we had a swim lap in the pool. The swim lap started at the far end of the pool at 50 meters, so we type in the distance 50 meters from the start. We automatically get the pace for swim. And next lap will be 150 meters, 250 meters, 350 meters, and by the end of the swim they get out and pass swim end at 400 meters from start. After that we have T1. So they pass both transition primary and transition backup. This will become a transition, and we have no meters from the previous split. So in this case we choose to show the distance from the previous split instead of from the start. We could have chosen from the start and just type in 400 here as well. The time is how long we expect people to be in transition, 10 seconds to 15 minutes, reasonable. Next one is they get out on their bike and passes the bike checkpoint for each lap. Each lap is 5k, and from at this point I choose to say that it's 5k from the split T1. So you can choose to show your distance from anywhere on the course, actually. As long as it makes sense, I would think it would work. And then we have bike 2, bike 3, bike 4, and bike 4 is the last lap. So instead of taking bike checkpoint, I take the transition primary and backup, which is just 2 meters behind. And then they get out of transition again and get the T2 from the transition primary and backup, and it's also 0 meters. Then I go for the run. I ignore everything around the finish line and the run near checkpoint, so they catch the run far checkpoint first at 1.25k and choose to have it from split T2. It's up to you how you want to define the distance, but this is how I did it. And we get 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 4 is stopped at finish primary and finish backup at 5k. And we can also define finish as if we like this. You may see that I haven't chosen to add swim, bike, or run as one whole distance, because I put that into legs down here instead. It's also important that I realized you cannot duplicate the names of a split and a leg, so I can't have a split called swim and a leg called swim. Race Result 12 just refuses to do that, and you will notice. So the reason I have them as legs is because I want to be able to calculate the full distance. I want to be able to calculate the time of the full swim or the full bike or the full run. The reason I don't have T1 and T2 into the legs is because I don't need to, because they don't have any splits along the inside the transition. So that's why I can keep it up into splits and still get my calculations. So let's go over to the output. I made a copy of the age group results and called it AGR12, and from the top it's just the same. I take the start time from T0, the swim I just take from the leg swim, and I could have added the swim laps here as well, I realize, but we'll see laps further down here after T1. So if I want to have the T1 time, since that's a split, I can use T1.sector, which means that I take the time that is added into split T1 and counting backwards to the previous split, which was bike end, swim end, of course. And you can do that for all the bike splits as well. So if I choose bike 1, I will have bike1.sector, which means it's calculating backwards from when I pass the first checkpoint on the bike backwards to T1. And then we have bike. I just choose the leg bike to get the full bike output. And I do the same for run with sectors and so on. As you can see, there's a dot between bike and sector. That's called dot notation, and RaceResult 12 has a lot of functions to play around with that. If you want to do something extra, you can actually put in the age group ranking on, for example, the swim here. So swim.agegroup.p will give you the ranking with the dot afterwards, which is really nice. And even with this, I could check how far away they are from the first athlete, and I can calculate how big of a change they made since the swim, and so on. It's really cool to play around with this. So if you want to have more info on the dot notation and the functionalities there, just let me know. And we can take a look at this and how it looks like. We can see here that so this is what you can do with dot notation and the splits. Really cool feature, and if you find anything I have missed, so let me know. It would be cool to see. Thank you and have a good day.